I'm going to be doing traditional potato jacks, which is a very southern type of dish, something I grew up with. First thing we want to do is clean the potato. I like to brush the potato. Basically, sometimes I will peel the skin, but when you leave the skin on it, it just gives it a little extra taste, a little more flavor. Because it's such a large potato, I'm going to cut it in half. One thing about salt, it brings the water temperature up quicker, plus it sweetens the flavor of your potato just a little. I used approximately a little less than a teaspoonful of salt. I'm going to cover this and let it boil, but I won't completely cover it, but the idea is to cook the potato until the potato gets soft. I am about to put 3 cups of flour into the food processor. Normally I would probably do about 2 cups because I would be doing it for a much smaller group. But today I'm using 3 and I'm going to increase my recipe because I expect to be doing a little more. I hope to do about 8 or 10 with this batter. Next, I'm going to use about a teaspoonful of baking powder. Most of the time I use about a teaspoonful of baking powder and a half a teaspoon of baking soda. Today I'm going to add instead a little bit of vodka to the water that I'm doing. This will help me a little bit to make it a little crispier. Now, generally it would be about a half a cup of vodka. I use probably about a quarter of a cup this time. However, you look at your mix and make a decision as to whether it's too loose or not, because this is pretty much like doing a biscuit dough, with the exception of it ain't gonna be biscuits. I'm gonna use almost a stick of butter, but I'm gonna slice it up before I put it in to my food processor. However, not only am I going to put that in, I'm going to put in 1 egg. I'm going to start blending it with about a teaspoonful of vanilla. It seems like a stick of butter is a lot, but with 3 cups of flour, it won't be. Start the flour in your food processor and run it till it turns into like a little sand mixture. Now, while the food processor's on, and I see it starting to come together, I've actually put the baking powder, the flour, and I forgot one thing. I want to add about 3 tablespoons full of sugar. This is not traditional, but this is the way I do it because I like a little sweeter crust than others. I'm going to put my egg in. I want to be very mindful of the texture and how it's coming together. In the summertime, you use a little less water than you do in the winter. The reason for that being is, for whatever reason, flour has different consistency different times of year. Heat does do something to it. Adding the water, be very mindful to see it come together if you have a food processor, and it will go into a little bowl. Once you see it go into that bowl, you know you've got your dough mixture together. Now, as you see it now, it's coming together. But down below, it's a little bit of water I need to get the rest of it to come together. Just a little more, and I should have it I'm going to put it in the saran wrap, wrap it pretty tightly, and then put it in the refrigerator for a half an hour to 45 minutes and let it come together. You don't want it to be a loose mixture. You want that to be pretty tight. So once you put it in the refrigerator, let it come together. Then in about half an hour, 45 minutes, you'll take it out, then you'll roll it out. Now I'm running cold water on the potatoes after they've cooked so I can peel them without burning myself. If you watch closely, you'll see how the skin comes off so very easy. Even though I know a lot of that skin on the inside is a lot of flavor. But we'll forego that this time. Now at this point, I'm going to put the potatoes in my mixer. And after I put the potatoes in, I will put my sugar in, which is about a cup this time. I like my stuff sweet. With that, I'm going to put again about a teaspoonful of vanilla. After my vanilla, I will put about a quarter teaspoon, maybe a little more, of cinnamon. The aroma is already there. Now I will add 1 egg after I started mixing. Now I started off low and then increase it afterwards based on don't want it to be too fine. Now it's time for my egg. At this point, you pretty much have your mixture. Your mixture you're going to take and set that into a bowl and let it sit until you're ready to put it into the dough. I'm going to preheat the oven to about 400 degrees for about 40 minutes. Now I'm going to unwrap the dough that we let sit in the refrigerator for a while. I prepared some flour out here, but one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in quarters. And each one of these quarters I will roll out separately. Now, when I roll this out, I'm going to roll it out a little thinner than you would normally roll dough out, but in this case, I'm going to see if I can keep turning it, make sure I got plenty flour down there, turn it, put again. Now I want to roll this out to be about 12 inches. Now I'm going to cut this in half, and you'll see in a moment how I start to fold. With this mixture, I'm going to use about 2 heaping teaspoons in the middle. Now as I put the 2 heaping teaspoons in the middle, I'll then fold it over. Seeing where my edges are, I am going to take the water and brush where I think that edge is. And seal it. Using the fork, again, I am going to seal this all the way around. Since there's a little added extra there, what I'll do is I'll use my knife to cut that extra off. Placing it on the aluminum covered pan. Now I've got my temperature up on my oven and I preheated it at 400 degrees. And now I'm going to place it in the oven on the top shelf for about 20 minutes. And then I will come back in about 10 and turn the pan around so we can get it heated thoroughly all the way around evenly. Now that we've waited for it to cool down, the proof is in the eating.